Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sacred Synthesis. My name is Cynthia Cramblett, and I am absolutely in love with this series that we're currently hosting and you are now a part of. If you caught episode 1 with Sarah Sadie, you probably learned a little bit about psychedelics and what she thinks is an overlap in the dream space. And for today's episode, we have a whole new guest for our Heroes Dose Conclave Dream Series episode 2. And we're delighted to welcome Alexandra Carelli, a doctoral student in transpersonal psychology at Sofia University, whose work lives at the luminous crossroads of dreams, relationships, and the living psyche of Earth. Alexandra's research explores dream studies through shamanic and indigenous lineages, the relational ecology of dreaming, and the ways our inner nocturnal worlds mirror and instruct our waking lives. She bridges her esoteric training in dreamwork, tarot, yoga, Ayurveda, and sacred ritual with a grounded foundation, holding a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. With over a decade of embodied personal dream practice, her scholarship is not merely academic, it is lived, listened to, and lovingly tested in the body. Raised among the forests of New England, Alexandra's earliest teachers were trees, weather, and the quiet intelligence of the land. A healing crisis in her early 20s catalyzed a lifelong devotion to aligning mind, body, and spirit with creation itself. She names plants, the cosmos, and the natural world as her allies, and her work carries that reverent intimacy throughout. Alexandra also shares her insights through her Substack and podcast, The Cosmic Soul, where she writes and speaks on dreams, love, and the art of being awake inside the mysterious human life. All right, amazing. That's like the best bio of all time. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Thank you, Cynthia. I really appreciate it. Thanks for
Absolutely.
having me.
Yeah, it's fascinating to read your bio, to know you a little bit before we started recording, and lean into this idea that our dreams are instructing us. They're our allies. They're something more than what some people might write off as just like the subconscious kind of clearing things out.
Yeah, definitely. I think that within our culture, we've sort of created this cultural lullaby that our dreams are just dreams. They're just images that float through our subconscious, or, at most something interesting or something curious that happens. And at worst, a nightmare or something to dismiss, something just to not pay attention to. And it's a big cultural shift to pay attention to our dreams as not just something private, like something that exists within our psyche, but something that can actually instruct us on a collective level of about how to move forward in these times we're in. So that's a lot of what I like to think about and talk about and write about, is how do we bring our dreams sort of back to the center in a way that they used to be and still are in a lot of traditional cultures today.
And that's really where my curiosity lies in this conversation is how does, say, like new age dream work differ than shamanic lineages and other ways in which people may have worked with their dreams in the past?
That's a really good question. And new age dream work, like I think we're still kind of like wrapping our heads around what that even looks like. I feel like dream work is really just starting to get a little bit of a hold in the collective psyche and even in the new age and the spiritual community. A lot of what we know about dreams now was really proliferated by Carl Jung. Jungian dream work is like the absolute most popular form of dream work that we have, and his theories and his concepts are top of mind within Western culture. And Carl Jung came up with some brilliant things, don't get me wrong, but I don't really consider myself to be a Jungian, because I think a lot of what sort of the Western, like, psychological approach and perspective, and even the current new age approach on dreams, I feel like it limits us to thinking about dreams as if they are something that's personal and something that's private. And that's true to an extent. Like sometimes our dreams are just symbols of the subconscious, and it's just giving us an opportunity to reflect or solve a problem in our lives. But it doesn't really take into account the way that we can work with our dreams within our relationships, within our most intimate relationships with our partners or our lovers, with our friendships, within our families and our communities. And I think that's something that's really getting missed. Um, and when we think about new age dream work, I guess maybe I'll just speak from like the dream work that's happening in contemporary culture. And we see a lot of like dream circles starting to pop up, which is amazing. And I think it's really beautiful and it's powerful that we're starting to gather in these way and talk about our dreams. But often the people in these groups are from, you know, different cities, maybe different countries or different completely different parts of the world, which, okay, on one hand, we could say this is a beautiful opportunity to like embark on a journey of planetary dreaming, right? And see what's coming up all over the world. But what I think we may be missing that we see happening within traditional and indigenous shamanic dreaming cultures is the way in which our dreams connect us intimately. So, when we're sharing our dreams within our most intimate relationships, there's really an opportunity to move from that place and to bring the subconscious up to the surface and work with it in a very real way. And that's what we see happening in these cultures. Like families share their dreams. Um, Indigenous communities will sit in council and share their dreams and make decisions based on that. And so that's a little bit different from just, you know, 10 random humans who don't know each other and don't interact on a daily basis outside of this dream circle, sharing their dreams with each other. And that's something that I really see as like a growth point within contemporary culture, is that if we can begin to share our dreams, let's say first with our partners, when we wake up in the morning, if one of the first questions you ask is, "What did you dream last night?" then um, that respect and that ability to communicate and listen to the dream realm in that most intimate space can then ripple out into our friendships and into our larger families and into our communities.
Mm. Yeah, it's really interesting to hear that there are what would one think of as really important decisions being made
Yeah.
in the community based on dreams, especially when I'll just speak from my perspective. So many of us don't understand what our dreams are, or are they sending us messages? So do you have a perspective that, from my understanding of Jungian psychology in the dream space, there it's like your dreams are symbols for things, or are they more literal, or are there different types of dreams, and can we identify and kind of work with them based on the category that they fall within?
That's one of my favorite things to think about and to talk about. There are different types of dreams.
Mm.
Simply, I'll start there. There are different types of dreams. There are dreams that are meant to be interpreted symbolically and that are these like cryptic, image based messages from the subconscious that we can sit with, and we can write them down and we can pull apart the symbols and we can make sense of them and they will have encoded information for us. That is a type of dream that occurs for all of us for the most part, or anyone who dreams is experiencing these types of dreams. And that's the way that that's kind of in the collective consciousness. That's like what we think dreams are mostly. And I love those kind of dreams. I have them all the time. They're really important. I don't consider myself really to be an expert in symbolism. I think that's a lifetime study of how to interpret the symbolism of dreams. And the way that I approach that now, based through my training and the way that's really taught in the dream studies program that I did at Sofia University, is that dream symbolism is subjective. So a symbol could mean something for me and something different for you. So that's one type of dream. And then there are other types of dreams
Mm.
that can be taken a lot more literally. And before we got on this call, you had mentioned prophetic dreams or precognitive dreams. And sometimes these types of dreams can come symbolically, but sometimes they're going to come in extremely clear and literal images and information. So when we're thinking about psychic dreams or telepathic dreams, sometimes what's called shared dreams or mutual dreaming, like when you're sharing a dream space with another person and seeing similar things. For me personally, I've had to learn to take my dreams quite literally because I almost never know at this point when something is going to be an actual precognition or a psychic experience and some information that I need to know, or it's just a symbol or a representation of something else. And this question about uh, how to tell the difference, again, is really subjective because I have learned in my own dream practice that there can be sort of what I think of as like a fabric to the texture of the dream, like a way in which the imagery presents itself that can signal to me that this dream is meant to be literal. This is maybe precognitive or psychic. Um, but again, that texture of the reality of the dream could be very different for me than it is for you.
Mm.
So, the only way to really learn how to understand your dreams in that way and what is literal and what is precognitive and what is psychic and what is symbolic is to write your dreams down
Mm.
as much as possible. And even more than that, to talk about them.
Mm.
Talk about them with your friends, talk about them with your partner, talk about the dreams and share them with the characters and the people who show up in them, if you know these people in real life. Because when we talk about our dreams and we share our dreams, then there's that opportunity for there to be the moment where it's like your friend can tell you, oh, like for an example, I had a dream one time of one of my really close girlfriends, and she was meeting with this man in the dream, and he was helping her break these loops and cycles in her mind. And I remember looking at her and looking at the man in the dream and thinking to myself, I want somebody to help me break these loops and cycles in my mind too. Like, that's great. And I woke up, and it's a friend that we share our dreams with each other often. And so I woke up and I sent her a text message and I told her about the dream. And she said, oh, well, that's really interesting because yesterday I went to this therapist for the first time. And this is who he is, and this is where his office is. It happens to be right down the street from my house. So if I hadn't shared that dream with her, I would have had no way of knowing that
Mm.
this was a psychic experience
Mm.
that I was picking up on.
Mhm.
So
So,
yeah, that's
yeah.
long-winded answer for that.
No, I mean, it's a great answer. It's an honest one. I had just such a beautiful healing dream last night. And one of the categories that I get, or it's almost like I'm an oracle, and people are coming to me. It's always people I know in my real life, and it's always men that are always coming seeking advice, and they're always seeking advice about their romantic dynamics. And I had one just last night and woke up this morning. But this time it wasn't anyone coming to seek me for advice. It was actually me meeting with my ex-husband. We've been divorced for a very long time. It was an amicable experience, and we were friends for a long time afterwards. But we don't communicate anymore. But anyway, in this dream, we like came together, and I was able to share some things that have been on my heart for a really long time, and it was just
Oh,
received with like such love and tenderness that I just, and my cat, who's funny, she's actually in my lap right now. She was within the dream, and she was the one guiding me to this office, and I didn't know why I was going to this office, and she guided me there, and I was looking for her, and that's where he happened to be. So I thought that was an interesting kind, almost like a flip on the oracular dream. But when you say that if we share our dreams with people we are connected to, whether they're in our direct community or in like a past community, there seems to be some sort of like, I don't know what is this called, like the like quantum entanglement of sorts.
Yes, definitely. So, for example, in that situation, you could, reach out to your ex-husband and share with him what happened in this dream or whatever parts feel relevant to share. And that could potentially open up a conversation that, with maybe some emotion that needs to be cleared, that will help resolve and heal the dynamic between the two of you. And perhaps, and this is where dreams become less private and more relational.
Mm.
Perhaps there's something in that dream that isn't even necessarily for you, and it's for him. But the only way he's going to receive that information is if you share it with him, and then you're able to sort of process through whatever that brings up in both of you or either of you.
Yeah, that's really intriguing to me. So, if you're comfortable going there, or if you have some
Mhm.
perspective, I would love to kind of lean into kind of the liminal space that um, those of us who actively work with psychedelic compounds experience. And sometimes there's messages and downloads, and you're visited by people in your community, or sometimes it's etheric looking beings, et cetera, right? So, would you consider that almost the same type of messaging that perhaps whatever you're experiencing in the psychedelic realm is similar to the dream space where it is important to take action? And then I'll start with that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, in terms of the relationship between dreams and psychedelics
Mm-hmm.
and or psychedelic visionary experiences, I think about this a lot. And I'm actually working on a book right now called The Earth Dreams Through Me, which is exactly that. It's sort of like my stories of dream experiences and psychedelic experiences and like waking vision experiences and how I sort of weave through all of those and, yeah, go through my life experience, like
Mm-hmm.
taking those really seriously. And some of the funny experiences when I took it really seriously and maybe shouldn't have. That's kind of a little bit of a side topic. But, you know, in where do I want to start here in this one? There's an essay that was written recently by Yumi Watanabe. It's called How an Onaya Dreams. And it's a really brilliant essay. She's an anthropologist and a researcher, really exploring psychedelics and dream work. And in her essay, How an Anaya Dreams, she explains the way in which this indigenous ayahuasca tribe that she's going and living with and studying with, they take the medicine and they work with the medicine for sort of like their initiation dose or however exactly they're thinking about it. And that opens up the dream space. And then all of the instruction from the ayahuasca itself is actually done through dreams.
Mm.
So there are beings that will come to them in the form of different plants or spirits, and all of the information, all of their education on the road to becoming an onaya or a curandera is done through the dream realm. And this is true in another tribe as well called the Aguaruna, which I believe they're up towards the border of Ecuador. And there's an incredible essay called The Hero's Bones by Michael Brown. He's also an anthropologist, and he wrote this, I want to say in like 1975 or something. Like he was doing this research a while ago. And it traces the Aguaruna tribe and the way that they work with uh, different dream states. So, dream states that will be induced through working with maybe the medicine of tobacco in sort of a more subtle state that evokes song. And the songs then bring you into a liminal state and give information. And then there's also the waking dreams that will occur spontaneously and just give you a vision. And then the way that they think about it is then they go and seek dreams or seek visions. In the Aguaruna tribe, the word dream, the word that they have for dream or vision is kahamat, Kajamat. And this word kahamat encompasses all of these different visionary states. Excuse me. It's early for me here. The word kahamat encompasses all of these different visionary states, whether it's a waking dream or an entheogenic induced state or a sleeping dream or these like singing dreams almost. And the way that they think about it is that when they go and take the medicine, those dreams are being sought intentionally. And so those dreams, are almost given a bit of a higher value within that culture because they're seeking information, and then that information is what is meant to have action taken on it potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the sleeping dreams are more instructive and sort of educational or giving guidance for the individual or for the collective. So this is all to say that yeah, we have a lot of basis to contextualize our dreams as a form of information and wisdom, some of which is symbolic, some of which is literal, some of which is meant to just be sort of like soaked in, like received for the time being, and more information will come later that will help us to make decisions based on these images and these visions. So there's not really like a hard and fast rule or a one size fits all approach to whether we should definitely use our dreams to take action and make decisions or never use our dreams to take action and decisions. The way I think of it is that all of these different visionary states that, you know, some of us these days are working within this whole like myriad of expanded states of consciousness. The way that I think about it now is I don't personally have a hierarchy between any of them, and I allow all of it to be information and to form this holistic perspective. And then from an integrated state, then I make decisions about how to move forward. That being said, every once in a while, I'll have a dream that is like direct instruction and direct information. Like I have a problem I'm trying to sort out. I go to sleep, I get the answer, I wake up, and then I do that thing and I just don't question it. But again, that level of sort of ability to like really quickly interact with my dreams in that way is because I've been writing them down and working with them and examining them for so long. So I can see the quality and the fabric of the dream in a particular way, which I think everyone has the potential to do. You just have to put in the work to learn to speak the language of your own dreams.
Yeah. So you mentioned writing them down. What are some deeper instructions around dream work and starting to learn your own language of dreaming?
Right. So some people feel like they don't dream. That's sort of like starting at ground one. From a research-based perspective, pretty much everyone dreams. It's extremely rare that someone actually doesn't dream. It does exist, but it's statistically like a very small amount of people. So most people are dreaming, but just not remembering their dreams. And if that's you, then you want to keep a notebook by your bed. And when you wake up, just jot down anything that you feel as soon as you wake up, any sort of emotional state, any sort of like color or image or thought, anything that's there. And then this sort of just goes in levels based on however much of your dream you remember. And if you are a vivid dreamer and you're remembering a lot of your dreams, then you just write down as much as you can, as much detail as you can remember. One of the important pieces from a dreamwork perspective is to always write about your dreams as if they're happening right now. So you're right. Like, I am walking through the forest. There is a woman behind me. She tells me whatever she says. Always write in that way because it allows you to go deeper into the imagery of the dream and sort of re-experience the dream again as you're writing it. What else did I want to say about this, about writing down dreams? Some people like to record their voice with their dreams. I'm kind of old fashioned with it. I just have like a regular notebook and a regular pen. And that's how I write them down. But there's like dream apps now. You can write them in your phone notes, sort of whatever works for you. And the way that I think about it is that when we take that step of waking up in the morning and writing down our dream or recording our dream in whatever way is natural for you, it honestly doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Just do what you can do somewhat consistently. And that sends a signal, I think, to these unseen beings in this spiritual realm that you are awake and you are listening and that you are a student of the dream realm and you're open to receiving these messages. So that strengthens this bond and this connection to these other realms and allows more information over time to continue to come through.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. And I feel that way about setting aside time to allow space for like waking dreams, as well, as you call them, or visions that come through. And I feel that if we don't make the time, sometimes, at least for me, they'll just show up out of the blue, or before I go to bed at night, I'll start getting all these visions of like, oh no, I can't go to sleep anymore. And so what a beautiful way to think about and to signal to the unseen, hey, I'm here, I'm listening, and want to know more. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, visions are such an interesting thing. On a personal level, I'm in a funny place with my visionary states right now because I've had so many visions. Obviously, I've been working with psychedelic medicine since I was 13 and now I'm 39. So it's a large span of my life.
Yeah.
And, I've had so many visions and it's like ridiculous. And, you know, some of them, many of them are precognitive and are true. Some shamanic cultures will call it dreaming true. And so many of them are these true dreams or these true visions. And also, so many of them were not. And I took things really literally or based my identity or goals or, understandings about my life based on these visions I would have that actually maybe were meant to be symbolic or were only serving me in that moment and weren't meant to carry me throughout time. So yeah, there's this like funny relationship with them that I'm untangling in this moment in my life and really slowing down a lot on how I'm relating to that space. And really trying to come at it from a more like embodied and somatic perspective and get less out of like the visions of the mind and more into the way it lands in my body and then move from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what a key word. And this brings me into another question I had in regards to like the erotic space of dreaming. So
Yes.
I've just asked my beloved, I think it was this morning, or maybe it was within this past week. I asked him if he has erotic dreams and if he'd care to share any with me and what they're like, because I have them. I'm not shy about sharing. So I'm curious, like what's going on there? Any idea?
Yes, this is one of my favorite topics of conversation lately. And I love that you feel open around sharing them with your partner. And I think that's so healthy. And I think it's like such a powerful tool to connect. Erotic dreams, what's going on there? Like, you know, who knows, really?
It's fun, I'll
it's
tell you that.
yeah, it's great. It's a space of exploration in the dream realm where we're able to have experiences that maybe we couldn't have in our actual waking lives, or maybe we'd be afraid to have, or maybe the dynamics of our partnership or our relationship wouldn't allow for it, but it's an experience that we want. And we have it in the dream realm. Um, I think that oftentimes there can be some like shame or hiding within the context of a relationship, and people won't share their sexual dreams, or maybe they're worried that their partner will get triggered or upset if they have a sexual dream about someone else and share
Mhm,
it with them. And people have a whole range of emotions and responses to that.
mhm,
Everyone is where they're at. And I think that, but I think that there's an opportunity within our intimate relationships to create more like emotional safety and to explore desire in a really safe way through
mhm,
sharing these dreams and exploring with each other and not getting triggered and defensive about it. I mean, of course, if that's what happens, sometimes we can't help it, but we can always learn to breathe and and take a breath and give our partner some space um, to have their experience. A friend recently told me that or what was it? Something that comes up in the dream realm a lot is the cheating dreams,
mm,
where like sometimes we'll have dreams of our partner cheating on us.
mm,
And this is a little bit different than an erotic dream
mhm,
because of the emotional context of what's happening. So we might be observing our partner with another person in a dream, and it fills us with that feeling of like dread or jealousy or betrayal. And those dreams are common as well. They happen. And I think if they happen rarely, like once in a while, it can just be a normal way of the body and mind processing maybe like some attachment wounding that's coming up, or something that's happening in the relationship that, is just causing a little bit of insecurity or is destabilizing for the moment. And that can be okay. But if that is an experience that's happening regularly in
mm,
the context of a relationship, like it starts to become a recurring pattern, it can most definitely be a signal that there is something deeper going on in the relationship that needs to be addressed. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's actually physical cheating happening, but likely it means that there's a level of lack of safety and lack of trust in yourself or within the dynamic that is really trying to be brought to the surface.
mm,
So, I definitely want to encourage people, if that type of dream is occurring, to, talk about it with your partner and talk about maybe what's coming up. What do you feel insecure about? What feels unsafe? So there's all different ways that we can, yeah, there's all different ways that we have these erotic dreams. Um, One of my favorite parts, and one of the things that I think is so interesting, is when we can actually orgasm in a
mm,
dream. I mean, to me, that's just so wild. It's just like the epitome of like a tantric practice that we
mhm,
can come all the way to climax just with um, within the dream without there being actual like physical touch happening.
mhm,
And I think that the fact that we can orgasm in our dreams sort of brings up a few questions, like, one, okay, what is the potential of orgasm? What are all of the different ways that we can reach this state without there being physical contact? And then two, it brings up the curiosity of like, but what is actually happening in the dream?
mm, mhm.
Like, to what extent is there a meeting with another being
Mm-hmm.
that we're able to have this very physical experience.
Right.
And I think it sort of opens a doorway to that like liminal space, that unseen realm where there's more happening
Mm-hmm.
than meets the eye. You know, there's real like energetic, a meeting of energetic bodies,
Right.
which, yeah, it just opens a whole rabbit hole of
Yeah.
potential.
Well, we go down this rabbit hole maybe at another time, but I fully understand what you're saying and have my own experiences in that energy, just the energetics alone, and feeling that type of like erotic movement coming through the body. So it's no surprise to me that it happens in the dream state. And I remember being in my early 20s. I had just started doing Sudarshan Kriya Pranayama. It's this really powerful um, technique that I had learned at the time. And I started having dreams that were very sensory. One specifically, I remember being in this beautiful bright orange canyon and I could smell the air, and the water, when it splashed into my mouth, tasted like blueberries. And I'm like, wow, what is this? Right. So how
Amazing.
amazing to have like, more than just like the visual and the auditory sort of things that happened in back then in my dream time, but like, oh, I get to taste and smell things. This is awesome.
Yeah. And sometimes it can follow us out into the physical realm as well. I had a dream. This was back in May. So it wasn't too long ago, but I had a dream that was like an erotic dream. And I was in this like watery world and I was like riding this dragon, and it was really like extremely beautiful. Um, multi-sensory dream experience, and started having an orgasm in the dream just sort of spontaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up out of the dream and I'm like still having this orgasm. And I hear this sound in my bathroom. And you're going to think this is going in a different direction than it is.
Sure.
But I hear this sound in my bathroom and I'm like, it's this like really loud vibrating sound.
Mm.
And I'm like, what is that? What is going on? And I get up and go into my bathroom, and my electric toothbrush had turned on and
Uh-huh.
was just vibrating, sitting on its stand.
Hmm.
And that was like totally mind blowing to me,
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
it showed me that there could be this sort of energetic experience that could happen in the dream realm. And then the pulse of that could be so strong coming back into waking life that it's actually like physically affecting
Right.
the material realm.
Of course. I mean, we're electric beings, right? So
Right.
and then impacts the yes, yes, that makes perfect sense to me. So fascinating.
It was so
Well,
fascinating. It was so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's so amazing. Yeah, I was definitely thinking, where's this going?
Yeah.
This is the beauty and the fun of dreams. And of course, we experience nightmare, or I have experienced nightmares and terrors and waking up and being absolutely like, what is happening? Like I cannot move. I feel paralyzed. So I don't want to discount any of those experiences. But I do think that in general, dreams are just, it's for me, they're fun to explore, fun to experience. And some nights I'm like, damn, I don't want to dream at all. Can I just not be in the dream world?
Totally. Yeah, I resonate with that. Actually, as a child, you know, some people have these like amazing lucid dream experiences in childhood and really beautiful dreams. And for me in childhood, I had a lot of nightmares.
Hmm.
And I had one primary recurring nightmare. And that followed me for quite a bit of my life, until like my dreams were sort of this murky like space that gave me more discomfort than
Hmm.
exploration and excitement. They were sort of anxious and uh, yeah, almost disturbing. Like it didn't make me feel good. And it wasn't until my late 20s that my dream realm really started opening up. And still now, you know, I can go into that like murky dream state. And I have a lot of experiences of sleep paralysis and, sort of strange energies. And I've had this experience in this house that I live in of like a lot of like sort of ghost encounters that span between the dream realm and the waking realm, like in that liminal space. And so, yeah, that is very much a part of it, like almost for as many kind of interesting or shamanic or enlightening, like awakening kind of dream experiences that I have just as many dream experiences that like scare me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, it's part of it. Um, it's part of it. And I think that in a sense, the way that our nervous system is affected by developmental trauma has an impact on how we experience the dream realm, just as it has an impact on how we experience psychedelic states and how we walk through our waking life. So, what I have found is that the more I have resolved my own psyche and the more clarity I've found in my life and the more peace I've found in my nervous system, the more, you know, tranquil my dream realm has
Mm.
become.
Yeah.
And so there is a connection there, and um, we'll see how it all unfolds over time. Who
Sure.
knows what will happen? But that's what I've found up to this point. Like once I really started my own healing journey in earnest, it was like my dreams got really loud for a while, and
Mm.
now it sort of has found more of a balanced rhythm
Yeah.
that I can work with more comfortably and more
Mhm.
consistently.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense to me. And that's what I've experienced in my own life. And with the many people who come to the sacred synthesis and they're working with low 5-MeO or even silmethoxin in a microdose, or going into higher dosaging with Bufo, with Ben and I, there there seems to be like this, it's a nervous system reset in many ways, especially the 5-MeO. And things are scattered and like up here, but then when everything starts to settle, the nervous system really starts to calm back down and has that beautiful reset, and you start to feel more embodied in, we'll call it like a more stabilized system. Things just seem to get better. And I've noticed with a lot of folks, their clairs or uh, different abilities or sensory beyond what we know as the five senses start to turn on and be even more easy to pinpoint. And I love that the dream world is impacted by that as well. It's just so fascinating to me.
Yeah. Something I was just talking about with a client a couple days ago is I've been talking a lot about like peace lately, just
Mm.
this way to create peace in our lives and rhythm and coherence and balance and steadiness. And I was talking with a client, I think it was just yesterday or the day before, about how when we find this peace, like we resolve our psyche enough that we're not having these big like trauma dramas, things have found some steadiness and there aren't these big upheavals all the time. When we find that, that doesn't mean that we're no longer having difficult or challenging experiences. And actually, what I'm finding in my own body over time is that it brings us in even closer contact to our emotional experiences. And it's like, I feel like I cry just as much now as I was way at the beginning of the whole healing journey experience. Then it's like I was depressed and I was struggling and things were hard and things were bad and breakups and things like this. And now it's like I just feel such a connection to like the grief of being human and the emotional experience that we go through um, just in living.
Mm-hmm.
But my capacity, just in purely existing, but my
Right.
capacity to be with it is higher now.
Right.
So, yeah, that's not so much dream related, but it's something I've been sitting with a lot about how as we resolve and as we heal and as we get more clear, it our emotions, it feels as though to me that our emotions don't intensify necessarily, but it's like we're really in the river of it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, there's less disassociation, bypassing. It's just like, okay, I'm here. I can feel this. And this is an
Yeah,
interesting texture and it's not going to last forever.
exactly. Yes, it's
Mhm.
not going to last forever. It's going to
Mhm.
come and it's going to go, and I'm just going to be all the way in it while it's here.
Mhm. Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
Alexandra, is there anything you'd like to share before we wrap up this conclave?
Oh, is there anything else I'd like to share? Just write down your dreams. If you want to get in closer contact with your dreams, just write them down. It's like sort of the most boring piece of dream work advice, but it really does work in building that relationship. And remember that your dreams are your allies and your friend and your guides. And your subconscious really wants to support you to be the most in line with your soul's purpose as you can possibly be. And the unseen beings who are all around us and so active in the dream realm, they there's a benevolence there. There's like a pronoia that all of these systems, you know, and our soul, our spirit wants to be in alignment, in resonance, in coherence with itself.
Mm,
And so all of those experiences are just trying to bring us closer to coherence and alignment with our most authentic self.
mm.
And every night when we go to sleep, we're having, what I think of now is like the most mystical and psychedelic experience possible. So, yeah, it's right there. It's right there
Mm.
every night.
Yeah, so beautiful, so wonderful. Love chatting with you, Alexandra. Everyone, please see the links down below the video, which will take you to more of her work. And we thank you for your time. This is episode 2 of what's going to be a 4-part series. So, inviting you to come back and learn more about dreams from different professional and personal perspectives. It's really been a joy. Thanks, Alexandra.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. And again, for the viewers, if you like this video, we love hearing testimonials, and we invite you, if you're viewing this on YouTube, to tune into our school community. This is a way that you can go deeper with different offerings that we have, ceremonies, conversations around sacramental use, and many other beautiful topics like this one. Till next time, see ya.